So you want to start by drawing the main outlines of the hair. Nothing complicated, just get a basic sketch of the general direction of where each braid is flowing. Especially with the bun, you want to get the right flow of how the braids are wrapping around. Now, once that's done, you now want to start to individually sketch how the braids are tied, how the braids are woven together to form one piece. Now, this can get confusing very fast, so let me explain to you an easy way to draw the braids. It all starts with a zigzag, because if you look at the reference images, the zigzag is very apparent there. Then, toward the end of the zigzag, you want to reduce the size. By reducing the size of the zigzag, you can indicate that the braid is smaller and coming to an end. Then, from the corner of the Z shape of the zigzag, from the corner, draw a slightly curved line. Continue to draw this slightly curved line for each of the corners of the zigzag or the Z. All that's left is to draw the round edges to complete the braids. I would advise you to make the edges very round to denote full looking braids, and really that's it. Of course, when you are drawing your braids, you want to be using a reference image, because I cannot imagine you drawing something as complex as this from memory. But if you can, go for it. Anyways, as you can see, I keep on repeating this pattern for every braid. This drawing will require a lot of repetitive patterns, which could make it seem like torture. Well, thankfully, I have my headphones in one hand with a phone full of songs in another. All I just have to do is to set it to my favorite playlist and start jamming.
We're rising, we're falling, we're making moves, we're climbing, we're soaring.
Well, listening to music makes 5 hours of drawing seem like mere seconds. You'll also want to take note of the places where the braids aren't completely shown, like how you can see the braid being twisted here. This is another reason again why you need to look at your reference photo, like for almost every second. You can notice things like this very easily. So after about 45 minutes of just drawing the outlines, we get to start actual work. We start to shade the braids. Now at this point, let me let you in on a little secret. I've actually never drawn braids before. So this is a learning curve for both you and me. I was wondering if I should start first with the graphite or to go straight with the charcoal. Of course, because of my love for charcoal, the charcoal won and I went with that. This is the technique that I used to draw the braids. I start by drawing some light strokes on one part of the braids. Then I layer on that by adding darker strokes, pressing more on the paper. You'll also want to take note of the method you use to draw these strokes. You'll want to avoid drawing ordinary straight lines. When you are drawing hair like this, or in fact any kind of hair for that matter, you'll want to feather or taper your strokes. Flick your strokes so that the stroke tapers at the end. This will give the illusion of the braids shining, as you can see with the braids here. Then for the roots of the hair, I believe that's the appropriate name for that, I start with the HB pencil. The HB pencil allows me to get the general direction of how the root is flowing. And I'm drawing them like bicycle spokes, with every stroke coming from the center of the braid. Then I go in again with my charcoal pencil. As you can see how I'm drawing the roots for the braids, it is important to get the right curves. And as you can see, I am even rotating the paper so that I can better be able to flex my wrists and get the right curve I'm talking about. Now you'll also notice that I entirely skipped the right part of the hair and I went straight to the bun. Reason for this is that I don't want to draw on that side, then rest my hand on it only to smudge everything. So keep this in mind when you are drawing. Try not to draw on areas where your palms will rest on later. And besides, I'm very nervous about drawing the bun, so the sooner we are done with it, the better. I start from the bottom and I work my way up. You'll also see that I brought in my blending stump to help to blend the strands of the hair. That didn't turn out so great. The blending stump simply smudged everything all around, and later I dumped it. Really, if you look at things at this point, it would seem as if I have everything under control, like I knew exactly what I was doing. But in reality, this was just hours of uncertainty and trying to figure out the right techniques. And it's just sad that it wasn't until the top of the braids that I figured out a consistent technique that actually worked for me. As I did before, I start by laying down some light preliminary guidelines with my 2B or 4B charcoal pencil. Then I add another round of darker lines with that same charcoal pencil. But then at this stage, I blend. But I don't use the blending stump to blend again. I actually use a small makeup brush to blend. Since charcoal is very rough, this brush was the answer to my problems, as it helps to smoothen out the roughness from the charcoal. Then I add highlights with my kneaded eraser. Lastly, I used the 6B charcoal pencil to add the necessary shadows for the braids. If you happen to have black colored pencil, I think that will be a lot better for this project, but since I don't have that, I use what I've got. As I move to the bottom of the hair, I change the technique a little. I actually start with my graphite pencil first for the basic lines. I told you I was just trying different things. Anyways, I draw the rest of the braids and then I move on to the remaining roots of the hair. This drawing was not a one-day thing. I think I must have spent about 7 hours over a span of 2 weeks. So believe me when I say that it wasn't easy, but I did it. And I know that you can also do it too if you follow the techniques that we've talked about in this video and you also have patience. So I finish up by drawing the edges of the hair. I touch up some parts of the braid, I erase the dirty paper, and we have this.